Hello and welcome to Oregon Uncovered and the Real West. I'm Alistair Duval, and this week I'm taking a fascinating look into the heart and soul of Oregon's traditions and history. From the Native Americans to the days of Lewis and Clark and the Oregon Trail and the real essence of the Wild West, the working ranch and the rodeo. Yeehaw! We've all seen the movies where the cowboy races through town on his Mustang, followed in hot pursuit by the posse. Well, okay, things have changed, but here in Oregon's Real West, you can still get a taste of those days. Time to hit the road. The rodeo, the very essence of America, the living legacy of the working cowboy and cowgirl. I don't think there's an image anywhere in the world that inspires such a spectacle. The excitement, the colour, the bravery. Oh, and of course the pain. Oh, yes, the pain.
And a classic example of the rodeo is here at Molalla, the Molalla Buckaroo. And what better day to see it than today? The 4th of July, America's birthday, one of the most famous birthdays in the world. Actually, in rodeo circles, they call the 4th of July holiday Cowboy Christmas, only in America. The rodeo gets off to its usual colourful start with the bucking broncos. And then when all that's done, they do the same thing bareback.
Richmond, Oregon bronc rider.
Bareback riding, it's got to be mad.
It's on. Oh.
And then they do it on a bull.
Coach Conley, Pineville, Oregon, where we're headed. Come on, Coach. Ah! Oh, get out of there. Ooh. Ah! California! Yeah, find it. Yeah. And here we go. Whoa.
The steers don't get ridden though, they get wrestled.
Yeah, Puelo trying to get around this guy. All kinds of problems with this tall guy. Puts his hands in the air. It's John Payne.
There are always spectacular contributions from the likes of John Payne, the one-armed bandit with his herd of bison. And if you thought the bison were enormous, wait till you see the truck. And the incredible barrel racers taking corners like slalom ski racers. And from the incredible to the, well, how can I put it? The indescribable. No, your eyes do not deceive you. These are the Ghost Riders. Capuchin monkeys wearing starry t-shirts and chaps. On collies. That's right, monkeys on dogs rounding up goats. Yes, it's not hard to understand the attraction of the Great American Rodeo, but to really blend in with the action, you'll need to follow the correct dress code. So I'm going to town.
This is cowboy country, son. Ain't no place for city boys here. Okay, you're not going to get hanged at dawn or into a gunfight over it, because this ain't the Wild West no more. Mind you, looking around here, it's hard to believe it's the 21st century.
But it is. And in 21st century Pendleton, there's plenty to remind its residents and visitors of the old Wild West. The Oregon Trail, the incredible rodeo known as the Pendleton Roundup, and of course the natural magnetism that draws visitors to the whole idea of cowboys and the West. So, I'm gonna get me some gear.
Howdy, I'm looking for some nice chaps. Woo! Ha ha ha. That's not quite what I had in mind.
No, this is more what I had in mind. Lots of hand-carved leather boots, wide-brim hats, lassos, chaps, buckles, stirrups, saddles, the works, including a cheesy cowboy's grin. This sort of thing.
Well, that's me sorted, folks. You know, one of the great skills in this western horsey environment is that of the saddle maker, and I wouldn't know how to begin to make one of these, but I know a man who does.
This saddle represents about 250 hours by a very skilled craftsman. We start first with the tree, which is a rawhide covered piece of wood, and about 18 pieces of leather that comprise the saddle itself. The really painstaking part of it is the tooling, is the ornate tooling that you see here, and the dyeing process that goes into the background. This saddle would last a lifetime, well, a couple hundred years perhaps. We've been building saddles for 125 years, and we get some that are 125 years in for repairs now. So it can last as long as it's well taken care of. This is every cowboy's dream, this saddle.
Pendleton is full of surprises. Believe it or not, below my feet is a network of underground tunnels that dates back to the turn of the 19th century. Only the original inhabitants knew what really went on underground, and the legends and stories that have been handed out over the years about the raucous lifestyle are what make it special.
Pendleton had one of the most sophisticated underground tunnel networks in the country. The tunnels were under practically every sidewalk and building in the downtown area. The fascination with what happened underground in various cities at the turn of the 19th century and on into the 20th century has actually created a viable tourist trade of its own. And here in Pendleton, the underground tour gives visitors the opportunity to learn about a piece of history that at the time no one wanted to talk about, but they're talking about it now. No, this isn't a scene from the movies. This is Wilson Ranch's retreat, where guests can spend a day in the saddle, rounding up cattle and doing what cattle ranchers do. And on a day like this, under hot sunny skies and surrounded by this kind of incredible scenery, it's not hard to see the attraction. Phil Wilson, who runs the place with his wife Nancy, showed me the ropes, or should I say, the reins.
Phil. Alistair, good to meet you.
Pleased to meet you, sir.
I tell you what, I'm really excited about this. It's my first chance to drive a cattle. Yeah. Fantastic. What are you going to get me to do?
I'm going to get you on a saddle horse, and we're going to drive about 400 head of cattle up country into another pasture. Do you think you need a hat?
I think I do.
I'm pretty sure you do. Yeah, this is
excellent.
That's every good cowboy needs a hat.
What do you reckon? It's all there.
Yeah, you look good.
I've got to tell you, Phil, this is a great experience. I'm loving every minute of this. The weather's fantastic today. Is this what anybody who comes on your rides, is this what they can experience?
They can avail themselves of this experience, and this is what we naturally do on a daily basis. We're involved in cattle ranching, and so we've moved these herds to greener pastures. This is not staged. This is what we actually do.
Of course, I mean, I'm not an experienced rider or anything like that, but I mean, I feel very safe with this.
Yeah, we've got a really good bunch of ranch horses, and we've got horses to fit different experience levels, so that a beginner can come do it or an experienced person can come do it. Our youngest rider today is 2 years old, and up to 77 is our oldest. We wanted to expose people to this side of life and show them that ranch life was wholesome, and that there are people out here working to provide a good product for them.
And this is the real thing,
yeah,
but it's a great experience.
You know, we try to get people as interactive as we can.
Phil, great experience.
Thank you, sir.
Loved it, loved it.
I enjoyed your company.
Yours too. Do you know what? I think I'm going to change my profession. I've always fancied myself as a cowboy. I'm now officially a buckaroo. Come on, Phil, let's do it. Come on, come on. Come on, Mick. Five miles east of Baker City, just off Highway 86, up on this massive hill here, surrounded by the most breathtaking scenery, is the National Oregon Trail Interpretive Center. And when you're driving up off 86, you kind of see this on top of the hill and you think, well, why is it up there? But when you get up here, you realize exactly why. And I'm outside of one of the living exhibits where the pioneers would have encamped at night. We'll
with all the wagons all the way around. These, of course, are replicas. When you get up here, you get a real feel of what they must have experienced all those years ago. And you get a rugged feel about it as well. And you realise they must have gone through a lot of hardship just to live and to get out here in this part of the world and to start a new life. And when you get up here, you must come and experience all this. And you could feel what they would have gone through, setting up camp at night, ready to keep out all the predators and anybody that might be trying to get in at them. It's a fantastic experience, and you really sort of sit back and keep quiet, and you can listen to the animals and the critters out there and take yourself back in time to what those early pioneers must have really felt. Inside, there are more than 11,000 square feet of permanent exhibits, and you can wander off on your own little journey through the stunning life-size trail scene recreated in the main gallery. Who's that bloke? Who would walk the trail in shorts and trainers? Unbelievable. I've just come back outside because the guys inside said to me, if you stand up here on the top, you can look down there and see a wagon. That marks the Oregon Trail. You can hike down there and actually stand in the ruts that the wagons made. The whole thing is set in the Great Sagebrush Steppe between the Rockies and the Cascades, surrounded by the Blue Mountains, the Wallowa Mountains and the Baker Valley. And this is me in a bit of a rut. Welcome back. And how's this for a coincidence? There's a museum at the end of the Oregon Trail, and it's called the End of the Oregon Trail Museum. A few minutes south of Portland, it's a real step back in time and an opportunity to get a feel for what it was like when the Lewis and Clark expedition forged their trail to this wild, undiscovered territory.
This room that we're in, it's supposed to be like a provisioner's supply depot where people would come to buy their goods before heading out on the trail. We do have some things here that did come across the Oregon Trail. This actually traveled the Oregon Trail in 1845.
That's original.
This is. Mm-hmm.
Can I feel the weight?
Sure.
That is quite heavy, isn't it?
It is.
Blimey. That would be quite heavy to carry. Blimey.
Well, and sometimes it was the children as well. A 10-year-old boy would be expected to be able to handle something like this.
And so all these items then would be stored in a wagon?
Yeah, the wagons, they only held about 2,000 pounds of goods, but those wagons were not very large.
You're obviously very excited about this. You enjoy doing this job, don't you?
I do.
Would you like to be in there with them?
I think it's a little harder than perhaps I have some physical limitations that I think might prevent me from being able to make that trip, so.
I've got a real treat for you culture vultures now. I'm in the oldest museum in the West Coast. It's called the Portland Art Museum, or better known as PAM. And it features some great paintings from old masters, some antique Asian porcelain, and something very, very special, and why we're here today. It's the Pacific Northwest Native American exhibition. The Native American exhibit houses over 5,000 prehistoric artifacts from over 200 cultures. And the Native American Tribal Collection represents the true history of the tribal real west of Oregon. And make sure you give yourself plenty of time to wander around and take in the sheer splendor of the works on display. There's much to see and lots of fun to be had. So, having seen some of the Native American exhibits, it's off to Pendleton to see the real thing. Over the course of this series, you'll be introduced to some of Oregon's incredible history through the eyes of the first settlers that used to live in these lands over 10,000 years ago, the Native Americans. Time to put my historical hat on. And it's times like this I wish I'd brought it. This is the Tamaslic Cultural Institute, and it's on the Umatilla Indian Reservation. It's the only Native American museum along the Oregon Trail, and it's dedicated to the culture of the Umatilla, the Cayuse, and the Walla Walla Native American tribes. Bobby Connor, the centre's director, explains what's here for visitors.
At Tamaslic Cultural Institute, you can enjoy world-class exhibits telling the history of the Cayuse, Umatilla, and Walla Walla tribes, as well as the modern history of our reservation, where we're enjoying economic recovery as well as cultural recovery. Outdoors, when you come to visit us, in Nemi-Nishait, our home, you can see beadwork demonstrations and visit with elders. You can enjoy the stick game and learn how to play the tribal hand game. And if you want, we can even teach you how to put up a teepee.
Interesting, that wasn't it? Now then, if you're ever on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and the question comes up, Tamaslic means interpreter in the language of all the three tribes. If you win $1 million, I'll split it with you. Making my way over to Central Oregon, there's another fascinating insight into Native American history. From the Cayuse, Umatilla and Walla Walla tribes of Tamastlik to another fascinating reminder that life went on here long before Lincoln and the modern American society. This museum houses the largest collection of American Indian artifacts still remaining in tribal hands and demonstrates 3 tribal cultural traditions.
I'm at the Warm Springs Tribal Museum in Central Oregon, on the Indian Reservation. A marvellous place to visit. So much culture here, so many exhibitions of Native America. I'm sat with Sacred Heart at the moment. What we're witnessing is one of the demonstrations that happen here throughout the summer when people come to visit. This is real Native American tradition. It's fascinating. Come and watch.
Right now, they're coming in. It's called the welcome dance. As they come in, making this in a circle here. They're dancing. Usually, they'll invite everybody to get on the floor as they dance.
So people, when the visitors come here to the Tribal Museum, they can take part?
Yeah, they'll usually call visitors if you want to come out and share dancing. A lot of times they'll use this dance like memorials. You know, they'll bring all the family out and dance in the circle. And a hoop dance here, you see the little boy dancing. They started at a very young age, and not only the boys, but the girls too. We'll gladly let people, you know, witness our way.
The Deschutes River in Central Oregon still holds the title as the best fishing river in the United States. Today, I have the dubious honour of floating with Al Bagley of the Warm Springs Indian tribe. I say dubious because, well, have you seen him? I'm a little afraid. The Deschutes River runs through the Warm Springs Reservation. And joking apart, I hear this is one of the great outdoor adventures, especially if you're really, really into standing chest high in an ice-cold torrent of rushing water with a 13-foot rod in your hand. Lovely.
We are going down river.
So we can get some fish?
We're going down to the next hole to catch a fish.
Yeah. How do you know where the fish are?
I know the fish are because I've been fishing the river for 30 years. And you seem to know where they're at, especially steelhead. They got certain places where they lay and where they swim.
Yeah. Apart from the steelheads, what other fish swim in these waters?
We get rainbow trouts. There's bottom fish that's down the bottom.
And this is all the Warm Springs Reservation that we're passing?
This is all, like I say, the river's the boundary.
Fantastic conditions today, apparently. I haven't caught anything yet. I'm trying to get myself the biggest steelhead possible. Not quite yet, but I'm working at it. People come down here all day to do this, which is great fun. Therapeutic, catch a nice big fish. Great views all the way around. You couldn't want it any better. The weather's just great today.
But if the conditions were so fantastic today, how come we didn't catch anything? Well, there is a reason. Apparently, it's because we were talking too much. Oh, Bagley, you were talking too much. And now, I'm off out east.
I've come to this gorgeous little town in eastern Oregon called John Day. I'm with Judy Bracken, a tour guide. Judy, what is John Day famous for?
Recreation, snowmobiling in the wintertime and fishing and hunting during the summer.
But it's also famous for something else as well, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, it's famous for Kamwachung. It's a Chinese museum right here in John Day.
You going to show it to me?
Yes, I would love to. It's just around the corner.
Come on, let's go then.
All right.
Oh, wow, Judy. This is like stepping back into the old Wild West. This is Doc Hayes' original shop.
Yes, it is. Doc Hay was an immigrant from China, and he was a Chinese herbalist.
And what have we got over here?
That is the general store, and that belonged to Lung On, and he was also a Chinese immigrant. They met here in John Day in 1887. Got to know each other, put their money together and bought this building and turned it into a general store, a doctor's office, apothecary shop, and a real estate office. They sold all kinds of food, all kinds of clothing, both American and Chinese clothing. They also sold liquor, and they also found some Kentucky bourbon, which was underneath the floor. And there was like 95 or 97 bottles of Kentucky bourbon in there.
You haven't got one spare, have you?
No, we don't.
What a pity. So I take it this over here then is the apothecary, and this is where he diagnosed people's ailments, yeah?
Yes.
What we got there looks like a bear's foot.
It is a bear's foot. That one, they feel that the bear is magical and it can cure just about anything.
So is this exactly as it was when Doc Hay was here?
Everything that's in here belongs in here. None of the walls or anything have been changed, so it's pretty much as it was.
If you want to do your bit for the environment, don't take the bus, the train or the cab to see the town. I'm suggesting the very essence of historical and romantic travel, the horse-drawn carriage, or the surrey as it's better known. And what better way to see Old Baker than to be sat in red velvet comfort and a gleaming white carriage pulled by two majestic 1,800-pound Percherons.
In the gold mining times of the latter 19th century, Baker City was born as a support centre for the surrounding mining towns like Auburn, Sumter and Sparta. And it soon became the focal point of activity, with its bawdy houses and dancing girls, wild saloons and even wilder people. These days, some might say sadly, Baker City has quietened down a bit, but it's still a city rich with the flavour of the 1890s. There are more than 100 historic buildings, some simple, some elegant, some grandiose, and each with a story to tell. And the best storytellers in town are the docents, like Terry, who I stopped to chat to.
Terry, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
What is a docent?
Basically, I'm someone who dresses in period costume and tries to give visitors to Baker a taste of what Baker was like in its early days.
You look fantastic, can I just say? Absolutely marvellous. And we're outside something very special here, aren't we?
Yes, this is the Leo Adler House Museum, and it's special to Baker in that the original owner of it was someone who was dear to Baker's history. He was a major contributor to children's events and children's sports and athletics, and as well as supporting the hospital here. And so when he passed away, he left quite a legacy for Baker, and it was important for the citizens of Baker to restore his home and to be able to share it with visitors.
Absolutely great. Thanks very much for that. Marvellous. Time to get back on the carriage, I think. That brings us to the end of this week's show in Oregon's Real West. Join me next week for another look at Oregon Uncovered. Until then, from me, Alistair Duval, goodbye.